Yo, Shortbox Nation, this is Botter, and I'm here to tell you right now that con season starts early this year with the return of Northeast Florida's premier anime, comic book, and sci-fi event, Collective Con. That's right, Northeast Florida's largest pop culture convention returns for its 10th year on March 8th through the 10th at the Prime Osborne Center in Jacksonville, Florida. 10 years of Collective Con, they're pulling all the stops out to make sure this is a can't-miss event. And the guest list they got going, don't even get me started on the guest list. I mean, they've got A-list celebrity guests and voice actors from some of your favorite movies, anime, and video games like Elijah Wood and Sean Ashton, Ray Park, Trisha Helfer, Ross Marquand, Max Middleman, and Bo-Katan herself will be there, Katie Sackhoff. Tell me what other convention is giving you the opportunity to meet Frodo and Sam from Lord of the Rings, Darth Maul, and One Punch Man all under the same roof. Only at Collective Con. And if you're looking to get some of your favorite comics signed, or if you want to get an original sketch from some of the best comic artists in the world, well, you're in luck, because there'll be plenty of comic and creator guests there, like DC comic artist extraordinaire Clay Mann, Harvey Award-nominated illustrator John Taylor Christopher, Marvel and DC cover artist Chris Stevens, and acclaimed Star Wars author Timothy Zahn. They'll all be at Collective Con this year. And if you're looking to bring the family, or if you want to make a weekend out of it, you're in luck, because there'll be so much going on at Collective Con that weekend in the form of vendors, fan panels, video game tournaments, cosplay contests, after parties, and a bunch of fan events. You can purchase single and 3-day weekend passes now using the link in this episode's show notes, or by going to collectivecon.com to book your tickets and hotel. Buy your tickets now, and I'll see you at Collective Con, March 8th through the 10th. Now let's start the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Short Box Podcast.
It's maddening, isn't it? The voice in your head, relentless, forever unsatisfied. No matter how hard you try to please, it devours you until there's nothing left but a hollow shell. And the more you ask for help, the more you begin to sound like the boy who cried wolf. I can't help you. I am trying to help you.
This Moon Knight show has got me thinking. I kind of want to watch. I don't know. I kind of want to watch Egyptian shit, right?
Oh yeah, the Mummy, the Mummy Returns,
the Mummy Returns,
Night of the Museum.
What's the Night of the Museum is probably better than at least 2/3 of that list you said so far.
What's another Mummy movie?
No, the Egyptian Gods movie. Do you remember which one I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, Immortals. Oh no, it's not the Egyptian gods. I thought it was the Greek gods, right?
Oh, it was the Greek gods.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
You're right. I think I was expecting them to do all of the gods, all the pantheons of gods.
Hanging out, yeah.
You said all of them hanging out.
They're all hanging out. This shit's crazy.
It's like, hey, bro, look, they sacrificing goats in my name.
Yeah, have you seen American Gods?
Not yet.
That's a Neil Gaiman book, and they've made it into a TV show. It since has been canceled, but that has a whole everybody's a god of something in that show, so it's fairly interesting to see who's personified by what and who's motivated by what. So,
so you just ahead of the game for the god game.
But there's no Greek, there's no Egyptian gods.
Which is a damn shame, because I kind of feel like I should have stayed awake in history class, because these Egyptian gods, I'm like, damn, I barely know.
I know Anubis, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like Anubis because he's the coolest looking one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then Horus.
Yeah, Horus is pretty cool.
You know what I'm saying? That's it.
I'll be real. I think Egyptian guys just look cooler, right? It's come on, man. You can't beat, half a crocodile, lion, hippo.
No.
Come on. It's like an anamorph gone wrong.
Yeah. And then he has all that bling on him.
They all got bling on them.
Straight up.
They all got bling on them. It's like, come on, man. What do the Greek guys got? Fucking loins?
They do have, but I would wear robes and loins. I don't have that much money though. That's how I know that I'll make it.
Bro, I'm trying to go shirtless, dripping gold.
Dripping. Baby, where's my headdress? I need to put it on.
Come on, man.
And you can have a staff.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like I focused way too much on the Greek gods and the Roman gods.
Just because of Thor.
Yeah, well, that's Norse mythology, but I know what you're saying, like Anglo-Saxon gods.
Yeah.
When I should have been looking at the gods of like my people. Well, technically not really my people, but you know what I mean. Like
I know what you're talking about.
the Egyptians.
You're from Morocco. It's near there. It's right there.
It was like, yo, let me just borrow them, right?
Yeah.
It's like I'm kind of like.
It's like Savannah. It's like Atlanta, Georgia. It's like Georgia and then Florida. It's like, all right.
Are you properly warmed up to get this thing going?
Yeah, I'm pretty. Yeah.
All right. Well, look, man. To your first.
To my empty cup.
Wait, that's bad luck. We can't do
Is
all
it bad
that.
luck? No, there's a little bit.
Yeah,
I can eat the lime.
How about you get a little bit?
Oh yeah, look at that spit.
Whatever. To my spit.
Yeah.
All right, let's get this thing going.
Oh, this is warm.
It's not warm.
Yeah, just kidding.
Don't lie.
There's ice on it.
All right, here we go. Yo, Short Box Nation, welcome back to the podcast for a special bonus episode dedicated. You also got to keep in mind that this is also an audio podcast, so all this extra stuff
Oh,
you're
they
doing.
can just see me right now. This is for the people that are just watching.
All right, true. This is for the video viewers. All right, I got you. Anyways,
they'll stop what they're doing, and then they're going to be like, "What is he doing?" And then they have to look it up. So there you go.
You got to Good point. Good point. But Shortbox Nation, welcome back for a special bonus episode dedicated to the first episode of Moon Knight. And if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in to the Shortbox Podcast. My name is Botter Milligan, and you heard him, but you can't really see him unless you're watching on YouTube. But I'm joined by my co-host this episode, Andrew Torres. There we go. I wasn't expecting the wolf.
Okay.
But I like it.
Well,
I like
you.
it. Is that your spirit animal?
Yes, I just like howl.
Feeling a little wolfy today?
Yeah. You ever just like howl at the moon?
Can't say I have.
Okay, well, yeah.
And yes, we are continuing the tradition from last week's Moon Knight Comic Spotlight episode. I have forced Drew to wear all white in celebration of Moon Knight and to honor Khonshu as well. We're sticking with themes.
Baptized as soon as we done.
Yeah, we look like we're ready for a baptism, for sure. But listeners, today we're going to talk about the debut episode of the new Moon Knight series on Disney+, which is currently sitting on Rotten Tomatoes with a 93% on the tomato meter. But honestly, who gives a fuck about the tomato meter? Because at the end
I
of
would
the
think
day,
my brown mom. I'd be like, Mom, my show made it. Why is it not 100?
But in the case of the Shortbox podcast, what really matters is, does Moon Knight Episode 1 get the Shortbox stamp of approval? We'll find out throughout this episode. But at the time of this recording, it's been 24 hours since Moon Knight debuted on Disney+. So if you want to hear this episode and all of our content the minute we finish recording, consider becoming a Patreon subscriber, and you won't have to wait a whole week to hear from us. Sign up for our Patreon using the link in this episode's show notes and support the podcast. Help us keep it going. And most importantly, enjoy the special rewards and epic bragging rights that comes with knowing, I support the Shortbox podcast. All right, come on now, join us. But anyways, regardless of when you're hearing this or watching this, hopefully you've already watched the first episode of Moon Knight, because here's the part where I warn you that we're going to be spoiling the hell out of this episode. It's going to be chock full of spoilers, this whole podcast. We'll also have the episode pulled up on Disney+, so that means we'll be talking about scenes going on as the episode plays. So if you want to watch along with us, we invite you to do so. Either fire up your Disney+, or just watch the video version of this podcast on our YouTube. But yeah, you can enjoy Andrew's very luscious looking hair as well as the episode at the same time, as well as our commentary. But if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, we're going to do our best to make it an easy follow along.
Yeah.
Drew, any final words before we hit play and embark
I'm just
on this
excited
journey?
To be here, and shout out to C. He couldn't be here because he is basically welcoming a new Shortbox member, so we're very excited about it.
Yeah. Cheers. Hopefully by the time this episode drops, everything went well.
100%.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. For our listeners at home, we've got the Disney Plus screen pulled up. We're going to press play in 3, 2, and 1. All right, boom. We are good to go. I got the subtitles working this time. And, Drew, we don't got, how we do. We don't got to follow along.
Yeah, we don't follow. So episode 1 is just basically perfectly titled The Goldfish Problem.
Yeah, Goldfish Problem.
The Goldfish Problem. So, that won't make sense until a later bit here, but this kind of starts off. Pretty interesting. My favorite thing that you told me about it before I even got a chance to watch it, you're like, they added 2 black bars to the bottom and the top. You're like, they made it widescreen. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, dude,
and it feels like a movie.
Well, yeah, they filmed this in widescreen. It feels like I was telling you, this episode feels the most cinematic out of all of the Disney Plus shows thus far. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I don't know if it's just because it's been a minute since the last Disney Plus show.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, when was the last Disney Plus show?
The last Disney Plus show?
Let's see if you can recall.
The Mandalorian. I'm sorry. Yeah, The Mandalorian season 2.5.
You're right. I should have specified and said the
Marvel?
last Marvel Disney Plus show?
Oh, Eternals, because I had to watch it in 8 parts.
Technically, that was a movie.
Yeah, but I had to stop because I kept falling asleep. So. So I just broke it up into an 8-part.
I believe the last Disney Plus show was Loki. And
okay.
That feels like a lifetime ago.
100% does.
Yeah. You were actually responsible for something I didn't pay attention for this episode, which was I kind of forgot that goldfish have a, very short-term memory.
Yes.
Which, we're dealing with the content that we're dealing with in this episode is a nice little nudge. It's a nice little theme, right? Like,
well, it's like, yeah, 100%. It's a nice nudge and theme. The one thing that they added is, have you been looking at the posters? They've been
the posters are slick.
Yeah. So the one that they released was the one with the goldfish and he's in the blender.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what is this reference? And then later on, you watch the episode, you're like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
This is pretty
another pet Avenger joins the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, we completely over talked the whole Ethan Hawke opening scene. Did that opening scene do anything for you?
Just maybe like I was like, all right, this guy's having a drink, and then he's just walking on glass. Like I said, wow, all right, cool. Like
it's
this
like,
dude's different.
Yeah, it's like all right. So we got kind of like crazy devout religious guy.
This almost feels like more or less like this is a guy that Doctor Strange should be fighting.
Yo, this is Botter. Sorry for interrupting this episode, but I'll keep it brief. I wanted to let you know about a massive sale we have going on over at the Shortbox store on all of our merchandise and apparel. That's theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com. You can now save 20% off your entire order using the discount code YOO, Y-O-O. So if you've been waiting for the right time to finally buy that gauntlet snapback, or if you ever wanted to buy any of the shirts you see me wear on the podcast, well, now's your chance to get them for a steal. We still have a few sizes left of everything, but they won't last long, and once they're gone, they are gone. And then I mentioned that all of our apparel is screen printed on high quality material. None of that heat transfer or direct to garment stuff. Our shirts are some of the most comfortable ones you'll ever wear, and the hats look even better in person. So wear your support for the Shortbox Nation proudly, knowing that you're going to look damn good doing it. Get to theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com as soon as you can, and don't forget to use that discount code YOO, Y-O-O, to save 20% off your entire order. All of this information can be found in this episode's show notes if you want to get there faster. Thanks for not pressing fast forward. Now back to the show.
Yo, I could see that. I could definitely see that. He's got kind of like that occult vibe to him. I'll be honest, I didn't really catch the I guess Amit themes or the gator like themes and on the cane and
I didn't know that
until the second viewing, right? I was like, oh damn. Well, not second viewing, but when you actually see it in action, it kind of pieces things together. At the beginning, I was just like, okay.
So clearly, just getting a villain opening, and now we're transitioning to.
Oh yeah, Mark Spector.
Or not Mark Spector,
well,
Stephen
you're
Grant.
Right, Stephen Grant. I apologize. Our first viewing, which is kind of cool that, well, not cool, but it's interesting that Ethan Hawke opens up the first episode of the series, and we don't get to see Oscar Isaac as Stephen Grant until a few minutes in. But I was curious to hear your thoughts on Oscar Isaac's British accent, because that was something that he purposely wanted to change, include in. It was like he wanted to have a British accent for Stephen Grant. He wanted him to be like, this kind of timid gift shop owner. What do you think about his British accent?
I don't know what to make of it. It's very weird to hear him talk in that accent. And I'm trying to understand exactly the dialect, because he doesn't speak like super British. Like it's very much like a slang.
Really?
To me, because like the way he talks, he's very much quick with everything.
Yeah, I think it makes I think it delineates between him and these other personalities really well. Because when you hear his regular voice as Mark Spector, it's like a little more like
robust,
you feel
powerful.
it. Yeah, you feel it, right? Like he spends this whole I think this is a 45-minute episode, at least like 35, 40 minutes in this like kind of awkward British voice that I know I'm not used to hearing him. Mm-hmm. And then you hear his regular voice and it's like confident, and it's like clearly a 180 from who he plays a majority of this episode.
Yeah. He did he's almost like a Peter Parker type character.
Yeah, but almost like sadder. Like at least Peter Parker has got a little bit of swag. The way Tom Holland plays him in the MCU, he's got a little bit of like a cool factor.
Yeah.
But Stephen Grant is like really like kind of sad, man, like real lonely, sleep deprived like a motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I wanted to say we just talked over the part of
This girl just basically defacing.
No, I was gonna say that puddle scene where he steps into the puddle as he's walking into the museum. You see that a lot. That theme, that type of shot a lot throughout this episode of like kind of reflections, whether it be on like mirrors or puddles. Like I think it's kind of a very obvious but a cool like theme that they're playing around with.
Oh, the coolest thing. So you about to comment on this thing right here?
Oh, that QR code that's in this scene right here? Yeah, when he's showing the girl the mummy tomb.
He's explaining how they rip everybody's brains out through their nose.
There's a QR code, listeners, that apparently if you pause the scene, you could scan it and you get to read a free digital copy of Werewolf by Night 32, which is Moon Knight's first appearance. It's like from 1975. But, like who would have thought to like pause it and scan it? Like QR codes to me have such a loyal, dedicated fan base. Like people who like QR codes, fuck with QR codes. And if there's one thing, I'm going to scan it. It's like I'm going to put my phone and my computer at danger and scan a random QR code.
I don't know what's going to happen.
Yo, this, I don't know if this is his boss. I'm assuming this is his boss, this Donna character.
Yeah.
Yo, this is British Karen. This is the British version of Karen to me.
She's awful.
Dude, she is terrible.
She's so mean.
Yeah. Shout out to the actress. I don't have the name, but like definitely makes me feel like a boss I've had in the past where I'm like, I can't fucking stand you.
Like, that's why I work nights, so you're not here.
Yeah. But they don't play around. I mean, they kind of like immediately get into and we're talking about the scene where I guess his coworkers telling him about the date that they've got planned, but they don't waste no time kind of playing into like he is a very disheveled, disorganized man, but not really to his own of his own doing, right? It's like he's got no idea about this date. Like they already kind of throw you into the confusion, like just ever so slightly, like a forgotten date. Yeah, that's kind of that's believable.
So do you think that it's Stephen Grant that's making these dates, or Mark Spector's just running around like just basically?
It's gotta be Mark Spector.
Yo, what's up, girl? Like, yeah, Mark Spector. He's walking. He's like, yo, what's up, girl? She's like, I thought you were vegetarian. Not today.
It's absolutely Mark Spector. Because Stephen don't know shit.
You don't want no dude named Mark.
No one respects Stephen Grant. No. And I gotta say that is an interesting comparison from the comic books, right? Like, and not saying that and we rarely care if it sticks to the comic books word for word, but that's an interesting difference is that in the comic book, Stephen Grant is supposed to be like his Bruce Wayne persona, like the millionaire, suave playboy. But the difference that we get here is like timid gift shop worker.
And Ben Stiller at Night in the Museum. Security guard.
Yeah. But I also think that the setting, right? Like having him be a gift shop worker in a, I don't know if this is strictly an Egyptian museum. It looks like it, but being a gift shop worker in an Egyptian museum is a smart move, right? Because now you get to share all this exposition and all this context about like Egyptian mythology within like this frame of this of like a framework that makes sense. Like, of course, he's going to talk about Egyptian gods, and you're going to see a lot of like the imagery, and it feels like natural that they bring up like, oh, the Iliad, I believe is what he said, and when he explains to the girl like the whole process, like you're getting a history lesson on Egyptian mythology, which kind of feeds into Khonshu and things like that without it being like awkward or force-fed. Yeah. It's like, yo, they work at a museum. Of course it makes sense.
Yeah, so this is the part that we're going to explain and explore, which is definitely really good because you definitely get a lot of good information. This whole scene right here is really, really great because you're like, who's he talking to for the longest time?
Oh, when he's talking to the statue?
His
only friend?
Oh, but how about the fact that the entire actually, to add to it, and I just realized this now after we're talking about it, every time he calls his mom, it's not her that he's talking to her.
I was going to ask
He's always talking to a machine.
Yeah. Which kind of is like, yo, do you think he's got a mom?
Oh, I don't know.
And like, who's he getting the gift cards from? Maybe it's Mark Spector kind of like sending them, maybe.
Could be. I have no idea. Which we won't find out until very, very much later. Which I think is really cool.
I'm banking on the fact that his mom might not exist. I bet you we probably learned that like he's an orphan, he lost his parents, or they don't talk to him or something.
Okay. Do you think he's always going to be talking to a mirror, his mirror self, like a reflection of himself, or at any point do you think he'll switch?
Based on what I've read about Oscar Isaac saying that like in order to really get into this role, he used his brother to like practice off of. He was like, I wanted someone that knew me really well and who knows me better than my brother. So I think the fact that he went that far to like practice these different personalities, I think we're going to see a lot of like him acting against himself.
Okay, which I hope. 'Cause like you said, every shot so far that we see is always going to be in a reflection.
Yeah, you got like this cool puddle scene again.
Mhm.
Like the whole theme, like I mean, and that's Moon Knight himself, right? Is like this guy that's got dissociative identity disorder, like these different personas.
He doesn't know that he has it. Like I'm trying to understand why does he think that he has to tie himself up, and why does he feel like he has to do all this? Like why is he home alone on himself?
Well, he says that he mentions earlier that
sometimes he'll wake up and then he doesn't know where he's at.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know where I went. So I mean, all of this. I think at this moment right now, he thinks that he's got, he probably sleepwalks. I think he thinks it's something as mild as sleepwalking, and he just needs to figure it out. Thus the tape on the door. So, like, if the tape is removed, then he knows that he probably left.
Yeah, and then if there's
the
footprints.
sand. Yeah, exactly. So he's got all these, like, things set up to, like, prove that, you know, he left the bed or something like that.
You know, he probably would have got answers earlier if he just set up this whole thing that we got right now and just, like, broadcasted himself sleeping.
I swear I had the same thought. I was like,
yo, why don't you go to a sleep study and then see how that goes?
Yeah, bro, just make that YouTube link unlisted and just live stream and watch it in the morning.
He's like, yo, what do I do when I sleep? And you're like, oh, shit.
But that wouldn't be nearly as dramatic as this. Right?
No, this is actually way better. Like, my movie would have ended, like, 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's like, I figured it out.
Okay. And the transition from here.
Boom. Which I like how sudden these transitions happen. Because now...
You're disoriented.
Yeah, for our audio listeners, we're on the part where...
he wakes up and his jaw's freaking broken.
Dude, that's what a broken jaw looks like?
Yeah. Did you not see, like, how much it's off? Like,
I don't ever want to be punched in my jaw.
Or slapped in the face.
Really hard, yeah. I like that topical reference.
Yeah, it's very
We'll see if anyone catches that very obvious reference you just made.
Sorry. Well, yeah, I'm just saying this. He wakes up and he's like, "Oh my god!" I like the fact that he's hearing voices.
Yeah, and you feel how out of place you feel. Like it's like, damn, you went from being in bed to the fucking mountain, like a mountain town.
Yeah, and he's like, "Nah, I'm good." He's like, "I don't want to be here anymore."
Okay. Obviously we don't have the audio on, so we got to just go by the captions. But this is the first instance where you hear Khonshu's voice, and Khonshu.
So you sure that's Khonshu?
Yeah, it is definitely Khonshu because it's a voice by F. Murray Abraham, who's credited in IMDb as playing Khonshu's voice, who also played, I think he played Omar in Scarface, as well as like the Grand Budapest Hotel movie. I'm saying that movie wrong, but anyways, what did you think about Khonshu's voice?
Oh, he's like very hip and like not like old sounding. He sounded like he just sounded like a dude.
He called him a worm.
Yeah, he's like, oh great, this idiot. Okay, cool. Like that's how we talk.
I immediately thought of Venom, the movie. I was like, damn, this is gonna be like Venom, where he's got the voice in his head. You don't see him until much later, and then it's always going to be quips and, Khonshu cracking jokes on him.
Khonshu's just a dick. If you were in that level of just, like, God level, you'd probably be a dick, too. Like, it's sarcastic as hell.
Oh, like, yeah. I mean, it's like, look, I got to worry about a gift shop worker being, like, my avatar.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly from this whole scene here, it's like, what is Mark Spector up to that he's got people willing to shoot him on sight? Where it's like, yo, look, it's on sight next time we see Mark Spector. Mm-hmm. Bullets are flying. He might be dead.
100%. Oh, also, can we go back to the fact that when you meet Steven, like, Steven's not violent at all. That's another thing that I thought was really good.
Steven don't look like he's ever thrown a punch in his life.
No, and I love when he basically sees those two dudes from the window and he just starts waving and he's like, hi. And the dude's like, yo, why are you waving? He's like, you should be shooting at him.
Yeah, yeah.
And then now we get a full version of Ethan Hawke and he's just walking through the town and you're like, oh, okay, this dude's
I'll be honest
real.
with you, Ethan Hawke looks like he could probably be this guy. Like, Ethan Hawke just looks like he would be some sort of cult leader to me.
Oh, yeah. Like every morning he wakes up and just puts glass in his shoes. Yeah.
Ethan Hawke probably told the director, like, yo, look, I know it's going to sound weird, but I've got this ritual I do every morning. Maybe we could work it into the movie. What you think? Even the director was like, what the fuck, bro? That's great.
Yeah, let's do it. You can't make this up.
I will say, I thought this scene, like, this was a really good case of like show, not tell as much, because I think the camera effects is like simple, but it looks cool, especially if you pay attention, right? Like the moving tattoo, if you pay close attention, it's like it's the gators are holding up the two ends of it. It sucks for that old lady, but it definitely gets the point across that this guy is obviously in tune with like forces beyond. Forces beyond.
Yeah.
And I get a vibe of like, there's like a good, and you won't see it until much later when Ethan Hawke's character, who is Arthur Harrow, talks to Stephen in the museum, but you get the idea that they're kind of like very similar. It's like, we're both like two sides of the same coin. I also am the avatar for an Egyptian god that don't appreciate me. I just don't have the multiple personalities like you got.
Is that what he says?
Not in the very high in the that was the Botter version of Ethan Hawke's speech.
Because I think he's just like, oh yeah. What exactly is he doing? Is he sucking her life force out?
So the way I understand it is that
he shakes your hand.
No. The Egyptian god that he's the avatar for, which I believe is Amet, right? Yeah, Amet.
It's a woman.
No, it was a fucking half alligator. It was a half a crocodile. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Crocodile, lion, hippo. That was the god. That god was essentially like the She would eat your soul if you were deemed like unworthy. When you died, your soul was like balanced against a feather, and if it was lighter than the feather, then it means you were a good person.
Okay.
But if it weighed more, then your soul, and I believe maybe heart too, would be eaten by Amet. So kind of like the persecutor, the judge kind of thing. I guess maybe the equivalent of a devil figure or a hell figure. But I could be talking on my ass. So I apologize for any of my Egyptian history buffs out there, mythology buffs.
Okay, because he keeps talking about some goddess.
Amet.
Is that who he is, or is that who, like, because when he's trying to grab that gold thing out of him?
The scarab.
The scarab, yeah. Who's that scarab belong to? Because we'll find out later who that scarab
I don't think they've given us enough information on that scarab at all.
Okay.
You just know that it's important to both of them, right? Like, Ethan Hawke's character, or Arthur Harrow wants it, as well as Khonshu, who is using Stephen Grant in this case to protect it. Which, this scene right here where Stephen Grant is, like
playing N1 basketball with the scarab. He's just crossing him up.
He's crossing him up, essentially, right?
He's like, yo, just
he's playing like a quick switch hands.
He's like, I want to give it to you. He's like, here you go.
It reminds me of this GIF I've seen, or not even a GIF, it's like a video of like this ice cream dude trying to give. You know what I'm talking about?
That guy.
Where the dude like keeps like flipping the cone around, and the guy's like, just put the fucking ice cream on the cone, asshole. Give me the ice cream cone.
Yeah, my favorite is that there's another video of that where the girl just starts eating the cones. Like, she's just like, all right, I got you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Cone.
But no, you're right. He does pull an and one on Ethan Hawke. Like, I got him.
Oh, yeah.
All I was missing was just breaking his ankles.
And he's just like, I'm just going to turn around. You just take it this way.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
So it's kind of like, I wonder if this is Khonshu's doing, or if it is if it's Mark Spector kind of like slowly like making his way out. And we're about to get to the scene right here where they grab the scarab.
And he goldfishes.
He kind of goes into a for the most part, like kind of like a coma.
Yeah.
Wakes up and his fucking hand is bloody.
And he's just like, and he just sees all these dead people. And you're like, oh, snap.
And this was definitely the scene for me where I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on? And I kind of like that, you don't quite see Mark Spector yet, but Mark Spector and that persona is a badass.
Yeah, because he even calls him a mercenary. He says he's a mercenary. He's like, no, I'm not no mercenary. He's like,
I think later on in this episode, when he makes that phone call to Layla, the one that was on that burner phone, I think they say something about like a 2-month gap. That's like, yo, where have you been? And apparently, like, wherever he's been, I bet you that's where the scarab kind of comes into play. Wherever Mark Spector has been or has been taking Stephen Grant, like, it's related to that kind of like time frame that he can't quite recall.
Just straight up Fight Clubbing himself right now.
Yeah. And I think, so now we are at the ice cream van scene.
What is it? Cupcakes.
Oh, cupcake. I apologize. The cupcake scene. And another good like action scene, man. Like, we're gonna get fucking Mark Spector taking over the body, and it's cool to like fill in the blanks, right? Like, they don't show you Mark Spector taking over, doing all the cool shit. Like, you just kind of like see him going into a coma, wakes up, and you fill in the blanks automatically. You're like, he
shot that dude.
He shot that dude. That car is going off the rails,
and then everything's falling. So this is at this point. This is where you were just like convinced that you're like, okay, I'm gonna watch the show.
Oh, that's a good question. At what point were you convinced that you were on board fully?
When Oscar Isaac was like, I'm going to be playing Moon Knight. I was like, oh, all right, cool. Listen, I know what I'm doing. When's that coming out? Cool.
Actually, I wanted to ask you, take yourself back to,
Back to the 90s.
2019. It was August 2019, I think, at the D23 conference or something like that, where they made the initial announcement that, hey, Oscar Isaac. And I think they just made the announcement, hey, we're doing a Moon Knight live action series. I think all they showed was the title, like the title image or the icon or something.
Oh, I thought it was going to be good, like in the sense of like it totally makes sense. But it's so funny that back in the day we were the ones that said that, like, oh, he's almost like a Batman. Like, remember we were talking about Harvey Specter? We were like, oh, that guy could play Moon Knight.
Yeah.
For the longest, Gabriel Mach was like, oh, he can either play Daredevil or he can play Moon Knight because he can play that like Playboy.
The dude from Suits, right?
Yeah, the guy
Harvey
from
Specter. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, okay.
Shit, I mean, he already played a guy named Specter.
So you're like, all right, cool. So like to see where it's at now, it's definitely really fun.
Did you know? Did you know that they originally planned to introduce Moon Knight in the Blade series? Do you remember the Blade series? I was reminded of this today. The Blade series starring Kirk, and I can't believe this is his like nickname, Kirk Sticky Fingers Jones. He played Blade in the TV series. I guess in that TV series, which
the series is good. It's David S. Goyer that made that series.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
That series is actually really
From 2006.
good.
That was like early, but they had plans to introduce Moon Knight then, but it just didn't work out because I think that show only ran for one season.
Mm-hmm.
And surprisingly, James Gunn in 2017 he had mentioned that he was throwing his hat into the ring for Moon Knight, or he wanted to, like he pitched a Moon Knight story to Marvel.
Oh,
and
man.
He just didn't phase out
With all those monsters and stuff. Oh, a movie? Dang. Now that you see it as a TV show, I mean, after it's like fully done, would you want to see it as a movie, or are you okay
Nah,
with just TV shows now?
You know what I thought of is that a movie, you get more bang for your buck for a series, right? This series right here is 6 episodes. If every episode is 45 minutes, let's just round it up to an hour. You get 6 hours of content watching Moon Knight. Versus a movie, you know damn well, much like the Batman movie, after 3 hours, you'd be like, yo, this is too long of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
With this, like, you get it in little chunks. You can consume it, like, you know, in pieces. Granted, I'm sure there are some episodes where we're going to be like, yo, they could have given us more.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Back to the episode. We are currently on the scene for our podcast listeners.
And he just woke up, like he's like back in his apartment.
Yeah, where he learns our boy Gus actually has 2 fins. So I got to ask you, Drew, what do you think about this scene here? Like, is it a case of he always had 2 fins and he just didn't recall, or did it really get swapped out? Because for me, I don't really know what to believe. Like this, for a minute, you kind of feel the same way that Steven feels in this, where he's like, "Oh, thank God, that was all a dream." But now he goes to this fish store, and the lady's like, "Yo, you were here yesterday. I didn't catch that the first go, but." You know, he's learning like, yo, I've been all these places and I've met these people and I don't remember shit.
Oh, he's just replacing the fish. I think that's what happened. He replaced a dead fish. Like Mark Spector replaced a dead fish for this guy.
Yo, look, goldfish die quick as fuck.
Heck yeah, they do.
I don't care what anyone
they're
says.
suicidal as hell. They'll jump out.
Yo, I had a goldfish jump out once. That was fucking scary, bro.
Yeah, and here's the thing. He thinks it's like, he's ready for his date.
Yeah,
like
he's ready for the date. I think he ends up learning it's the date was planned Thursday. It's Sunday. And he can't believe it. Like, he had to ask the waiter.
He's like, what day
also, I think this is where we kind of see him really, like, I think have, like, maybe a mental breakdown, right? Because he ends up ordering a steak. And you learn at the beginning, thanks to Donna, that he is a vegan.
Yep. And then all of a sudden, he's just like, oh, I don't really know what's what anymore. He's like, I'm going to have one.
Yeah. Oscar Isaac kills it as far as, like, playing just a very disheveled and borderline, like, am I crazy? You know? Yeah, you definitely feel it, man.
Just funny. Do you think we're gonna get any Kid Cudi snippets? Because bro, they use day and night for the trailer.
Yeah, and I do like that version because technically, I mean,
I love when trailers use like really good hip hop songs, but they chop it up and they
never let the beat drop. They always like
no man, what a
day and night. Day and night, day, night, boom, coming March 2022. You're like, damn it, let him get to the chorus,
please.
Yeah, man. Oscar Isaac, dude.
So, I mean, is any of this familiar to you? Because I know right now you're reading a lot of the Moon Knight stuff that's coming out. So, what if this right here basically speaks to you that, okay, they got this?
The only thing I will say, and we did a spotlight episode on the Warren Ellis, Declan Shelby 2014 run, which which is more told like an anthology kind of series. Like it's a very confident Moon Knight. You don't
Hellboy
really,
Moon Knight. That's all I need.
You don't really see like any of his like
bullshit.
I'll just say like human persona, right? Like you either see Mr. Knight.
This isn't Hawkeye.
Yeah.
He ain't over here like basically going out getting dishes, like doing laundry, like none of that.
But this reminds me a lot of Jeff Lemire's run, which is credited in the Wikipedia as like being a major influence. But Jeff Lemire's run was very heavy on. I mean, like his whole run was
very psychological.
Yeah, it was like a kind of psychological thriller. Like Mark Spector wakes up in an insane asylum. He's not sure like what is real. He's hearing voices from Khonshu telling him like, "Yo, you're being trapped." And he's got like
these orderlies are not really orderlies.
Yeah. So I mean that whole. And I mean, even beyond that series, the whole premise is like what's real and the concept of like identity and having to accept, blah blah blah. So I get a lot of that vibe from here, where you're seeing like a very not very confident. Granted, it's not Mark Spector, and I think that's a unique switch up too, right? Is like instead of Mark Spector being the central character, it's Stephen Grant, a different persona.
What do you think right now? The fact that like even though we know this is a Marvel show, nothing so far has tied it to anything Marvel. Nothing. There's like no callbacks, no blips, no Iron Man, no nothing. This is basically its own thing. Do you think this is after the blip? Do you think this is before the blip? Like, what time frame do you think this is happening at?
I think this is. I think everything.
Episode 2 just he just like dust. You're like, damn, everybody's turning to sand.
Here's the problem: if he turned to sand, you're like, damn. I don't know if he turned to sand because of the blip or if that's his powers. They're in Egypt.
Khonshu, what's happening? Like, I don't know what the fuck is happening, bro. Yeah. But what do you think? Because we don't even know.
I definitely think post blip. I think all these shows
post blipsies.
I think. I'm willing to wager that this show is definitely post blip, post end game. And I want to say most of these shows we're getting in this phase 4 is, post blip. But
do you know who's showing up from the Marvel episodes in here? Do you have any idea?
I don't think.
Neither of I have nothing. I don't know.
I don't think they've even talked about like having, you know what they'll do, man? They'll wait until fucking episode 4 or 5 and they'll say something. Because, I mean, that's what happened with
Black Widow, where her sister shows up. And
what was the last Disney Plus
series?
The
last show we watched was Hawkeye. I can't believe we forgot that.
It was, I believe it was Loki, but it was also WandaVision, where there was that rumor of like, yo, someone from the MCU is going to show up. It was definitely WandaVision.
No, but to go backtrack, I'm sorry, guys, we made a mistake. The last show that Marvel came out with was Hawkeye. It was a Christmas show. So,
there's definitely that one guy that
somebody's screaming right now.
Well, no, that dude already left. That person already left. They stopped listening to the show because they were like, "You fucking idiots!" It wasn't Loki.
Unaccredited.
I forgot Hawkeye. You're right. Which was fantastic.
It's a Christmas movie.
You're right.
When it comes out for Christmas. So right now we are at the point where Stephen Grant is kind of like figuring out. He's like, "Oh snap!" Like,
yeah, he decided to actually clean up. Not even clean up. It's like, yo, you would have found that sand had you been cleaning up your goddamn house. But anyways, he finds that burner phone and 50 missed calls from one person, Layla.
On a razor, no less. So that's what I'm telling me, that this is probably before the blip. What kind of phone is this?
Like, even to this day in 2022, a razor is still the perfect
burner phone.
And Layla, who we haven't met yet, is being played by an actress by the name of May Calamoy. Hopefully I'm saying that last name right. I apologize if not. But I believe she's supposed to be like the love interest for Mark Spector, who in the comics would have been called Marlene, was Mark Spector's main love interest. But we haven't seen her. But I mean, this is the classic kind of moment in that movie where you hear that phone call.
It's like The Matrix. Right now, this is like The Matrix.
Yeah.
Neo. He's like, who's Neo?
I was going to say, Ethan Hawke's character, like a lot of his themes about being like, about fate, predetermined fate at that, determinism, like those kind of topics. It makes me feel like, it gives me like Adjustment Bureau, some Matrix, like those kind of vibes, right?
Yeah, because there's somebody behind pulling the strings.
Yeah.
Well, he knows what's going on.
Because, I mean, his whole thing, and we're getting kind of ahead of ourselves, but the speech that he gives in the museum was like, had Ahmet been around, she would have been able to judge your whole life, past, present, and future. So, she would already know if you would even become, not only if you had done bad things, but if you would become someone terrible. So it kind of gives me like TVA vibes, right?
What do you think that old lady did? Straight up.
She did.
She's like, I've been good all my life. I was like, what did you do?
What are you about to do? It was more so, what are you about to do? He was like, it's not about what you've done. It might be about something that you have yet to do.
What if he whispers and lets her know, like, hey, you switch total fat free to non-dairy, and then you go back and you tell people that it's non-dairy.
What if they judge Stephen Grant like, yo, you said you was a vegan, but you over there having a filet, bro?
But that's what he tells him. He's like, yo, you're chaos. That's what he tells him. He's like, bro, you live. He's like, yo, there's chaos in you.
That's the reason why. He's like, yo, you said you was a vegan, but you had a filet last night. What is it, man?
It wasn't me.
Yeah. Oh man. All right, we do get the first instance of like kind of not quite. You start seeing like Mark Spector, right? Like he looks in the mirror and the mirror reflection doesn't move, which I thought was like,
it's how they got. Yeah. It's very tricky how they're playing with everything.
Yeah,
this is something that they're like Hollywood has been doing now.
Yeah, I was about to say, how many movies can you name that has done this trick?
All the scary movies that have been coming out forward, like if it's a haunted house, there's always like a girl walking and then she looks and then it's
stops.
Like. Like there's some, yeah.
I'd break every mirror in my house if that happened.
Are you getting a lot of what vibes are you getting from this? Like, does it feel like a monster movie? Does it feel like a horror movie, or does it feel like a psychological thriller?
I think right now it's still kind of like I don't think it's like. I don't think it definitely like I think you get a little bit of elements of everything, right? Like some psychological. I think the horror stuff is more so because like you don't quite see the monsters, so there's like that sense of tension.
Yeah,
that gets built up.
But it's just like one of the things, like you throw, like I don't know, is a mummy a monster? Like you throw that into that whole classic category.
I think no, for sure. I mean, it just depends on how scary the fucking mummy is.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mark Spector is like, yo, he's straight up a mummy. If you really think about they made Moon Knight a fucking mummy.
For sure, that costume gives me like mummy vibes all day. But Khonshu to me is an interesting. It is cool that off the bat, this first episode, we're seeing Khonshu, bird head and all, like mummy wraps. The only thing, if they wanted to get even closer to the comic books, they would just put him in a white suit. And I'm not even putting it past them that we might, that we still might see him in a white suit.
Oh yeah,
he's
gonna be sitting down with his hands crossed, like on that throne, like, yo, what up? This part right here kind of threw me off.
This old lady is probably the scariest.
Yo,
thing for sure.
she definitely was like, yo, she's definitely demon.
Like,
I was like, yo, Steven, you need to get her. Well, like all of a sudden, it's like, why is she freaking out about him?
I think it's because it's just like being in a fucking small ass elevator with a weirdo. You're not really. I mean, you're an old lady. You're not really sure what this guy's up to.
Very true, 100%.
He's over here sleeping. You know,
she probably blipped and now she's back and she's like, yeah, I can't do this again.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, Khonshu is a scary motherfucker.
Yo, and then that's another thing. The pacing of the show is really, really good because once you think something's gonna happen, switch it. You're in another thing. You're like, damn. So you're like, did he fall asleep and get here? Like, where? Like, how many days have passed?
Yeah,
where is he at?
Your sense of time is. Yeah, they definitely play around with the sense of time. Yeah, Khonshu is the design is cool, man. Like I'm here for
now.
it.
Okay, so let's go back because right now this is going to be a lot of just him walking around. Yeah. And back to the Moon Knight stuff that you read. So
and also real quick, Ethan Hawke's character was on that same bus, ain't do nothing. I kind of am curious like how he ends up finding him to begin with. This security guard.
Well, he tells him because he tells him he's like, my name's Stephen Grant, and the guy found
the one. That's a good point.
That's what he tells him. He's like, hey man, he's like, and he tells him, he's like, I thought that was an alias. Yeah. But he's like, yo, and then I found out that a Stephen Grant exists, and that's right, yo. Yeah. This security guard can go eat a dick. This dude right here is, but like, yo, your whole job is to go, like be security.
Hey, look,
and he's like, hey man, there's a dude following me. He's like,
as a former museum security guard,
hey, you can't do nothing.
I don't want you talking shit about my brethren, right?
Yeah, that guy right there, look at him. He just his mom's on the phone. Look at all these monitors. Who's watching the monitors? This dude is the worst security guard ever.
It's also like, yo, you're telling me all these people were part of Ethan Hawke's crew? They were all part of the Ahmet gang?
Oh, dude. And I love that little...
And the other security guard?
Yo, the move.
It's like, man, come on,
yo, when they do the move where they're just like showing him his wrist, like, yo, what's up?
I've always wanted to be able to do that.
Show somebody your wrist?
Or something on my wrist to get into a spot. Like, now I'm part of, I'm part of this.
Like the blade where they have like all their like stuff in their lips. Yeah, I know exactly what we're talking about. Oh my gosh, that's who's going to show up in here.
Who?
Marshawn Ali.
Blade.
I think Blade's going to show up here. Yo, what if that was the reverse? Yo, Blade, Moon Knight was supposed to show up in Blade, but now the tables have turned. Now Blade's going to show up in Moon Knight.
I wouldn't put it past him.
Dude, if he does show up, I'll eat this mic.
Please don't eat the mic.
I'm not gonna eat the mic. I was just saying.
But I mean, I would like to watch that happen. I would like to watch it. Yeah.
So you think vampires are going to show up? Or you think Blade's out here just hunting? The one person that I want to show... Okay, sorry. I'm getting too excited. So let's put Moon Knight in that monster gang. Like, he's That is
Easy.
his own point. Because after reading more analysis, it solidified like, no, he's the Night Protector. He comes out at night and he's fighting ghosts, demons. Like, so we have our very own like Marvel Hellboy.
Well, and to be honest, Khonshu, I think one of his aspects is like protector of those who travel at night or night travelers.
Yeah.
So, which is kind of, a name for a vigilante, right? Like someone who, like a fucking Batman, for example, protects people at night. Like Moon Knight in this case is someone who protects people at night. So yeah.
Do you so what I'm saying is, since they solidified the fact that he's fighting all these monsters, and I mean in the first episode a creature shows up.
I think we're gonna get plenty more creatures.
Now my question to you is, who do you want to see show up?
Straight
in the
up.
sense of that thing, would you like to see Ella Bloodstone come up? Did
None.
you want to?
I don't want no
small side characters.
No, it's like I'm kind of cool. Like just focusing on these guys. Like it's only 6 episodes. There's only so many. We're going to be introduced to that Layla character, get a background on her, and essentially we are getting another character. And since I'm more expected, we haven't even gotten his story.
Oh yeah.
So I think if you throw in a random fucking B-list Marvel character or another MCU person, it's like, all right, now you're just kind of like bloating the story. We've got plenty of characters to work from. We still haven't really figured out like the motives, but Blade would be a cool. I think if you're going to throw in an Easter egg at the end,
you think he's going to show? Okay, so right now, episode 4, 5, or 6, Blade showing up.
What if they do another Eternals where all you hear is voice? It's like, God damn it, just show me.
So man,
but let's be honest, Blade doesn't have like. Like his costume is just like, some leather and a sick haircut.
And a really cool sword.
Yeah, true. Sword is pretty cool.
But here's the thing. I don't think we'll probably get that. We'll probably get something new. I would hope we would get something totally new and different.
Real quick, back to this episode. We are watching Ethan Hawke judge or really weigh, I guess, the sins of Stephen Grant or his soul. And this is your part right here.
Just like,
chaos in you. You steak eating vegan. And look, what saved the day? A fucking field trip or a tour.
He's like, all right, I'm gonna go to work now. Bye.
All these people weren't part of the club, but the fucking security guard working there was part of the club.
Can we go back 5 minutes where he's basically telling British Karen to like hold on a freaking second? Like I got so excited that he started speaking up to himself. Like he's obviously disheveled, having a good time. She's like, Mark, take these. She says, Stephen, take these. And he's like, will you give me a second?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, and I was like, hell yeah. Steve.
Also, this man is working at the dead of night.
Mm-hmm.
Scanning
I think
inventory.
we're like, if I were to open up this window right now, we're recording. Not the dead at night, but we're over there. We're like,
it's just like it's just very convenient. It's like,
okay,
you're gonna work alone after the guy that was trying to kill you just showed up. Bitch, I'd be like, I'm quitting.
I'm going home.
Just me and the goddamn janitors, and they might be part of the club too. The goddamn security guard's part of the club.
Oh my god. Are you going to be looking at any Egyptian museums in this vicinity to go
when
look?
I tell you, I want to deep dive into Egyptian lore.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, this was a cool episode because of like that, how seamless the mythology worked in it.
Mm.
I don't.
And there's a lot of stuff that's preserved. Like it's crazy to me, like how much of like Egyptian stuff. Culture is just preserved, and it's just like, no, there's a mummy here. This is this.
I do kind of wish we would have gotten a better view of this monster. It looked kind of like an Anubis kind of looking.
Do you think
monster.
it's a wolf or a coyote? Because he thinks it's a dog.
Fucking coyote. What the hell is a coyote doing?
Like a man coyote?
Bro, I think coyotes are like native to America.
No, I think coyote. Like you ever seen Looney Tunes? Like that size coyote.
No, I see where you're going with it. It's more like a
jackal.
Yes, a jackal is a better term.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It does look like a jackal monster. I wish we would have gotten a better look because by the time Moon Knight gets done beating the living
crap out of
it, it's like, well, I can't probably recognize it.
He wanted all that smoke.
Another reflection. We get another like reflection as he's trying to hide from this jackal monster.
And he's just like, okay. Did you ever watch that cartoon back in the day called Mummies? Mummies Alive.
Hell yeah.
That was like a 5 o'clock in the morning wake up. Like that stuff was dope. You ever try to like take toilet paper and make yourself a mummy?
Come on, bro.
Yeah, your mom just pissed.
I'm a man child.
Here's the thing. I know now how expensive toilet paper is. And my mom was buying them like super doubled ones.
Oh, no. She spent a penny. She spent a penny on it.
This thing. All right. So right now we're watching Mark. He's just basically Night of the Museum right now. No, sorry. Steven. So Steven's running right now. And it's like Night of the Museum.
100%.
Also, museums are cool. They're cool, but you worked at a museum. Yo, how scary are they at night?
Bro, they are insanely... Well, granted, we didn't have like all these statues and,
like essentially mummies hanging around.
But y'all have some scary ass paintings in the cover.
True.
There's like some uncomfortable stuff.
Okay. So we are now watching, back to this episode, we are now watching Steven be cornered in the bathroom talking to Mark Spector persona via the mirror. This right here, I think, is where Oscar Isaac shines because, he's acting against himself. We're getting the first kind of introduction to Mark. Vastly different character, like confident, like, hey, man, listen to me. Already knows he can deal with the problem, like no problem. Or he can deal with the issue, no problem at all.
My question to you is, do you think, and you probably know this, is it Mark Spector right now that is the real self, or is Stephen Grant this new persona that just started?
I think at the end, by the end, it'll be one of those stories like neither one of us is. We're both unique, but we're both.
Who existed first?
I think they're one of the whole, right? Like, I need you as much as you need me. Like, we both inhabit the same body, though we may be different.
Damn, so him and Hulk have a lot in common.
They're one.
In that sense of like, they're one of the same. Just one turns like a green guy, and the other like, yo, that's it.
Real quick, when you see the jackal monster like
crawl for his life,
trying to crawl for his life,
bro, he kicks him and he punches him.
Moon Knight is kicking. We've seen and this was like one of the first things you've seen in the trailer.
Yeah,
was like this scene right here.
I'm so glad you said that.
But it still hits. Because now it's like you get a good view of the suit, and it ends the episode, and the buildup was worth it, in my opinion. Even though I had seen that scene in the trailer, it was still like, damn.
But that's the thing is too. Mostly everything you see in the trailer is the first episode. So 2, 3, 4, 5, we don't know. We don't have no idea what's going to happen.
I ended up looking at all of the trailers.
Did you,
dude? There's like fucking 4 or 5 trailers.
There's 5 trailers.
But to your point, a good majority of them are in this first episode.
So what did you think? I mean, this is your third time watching it.
Yeah, damn, this is the third time.
I love the costume design. I didn't the fact that they went with this costume design is way cooler to me.
And I don't know if you've seen.
It makes sense.
100%. It gets the Egyptian theme off, the mummy, like it gets all of that, like ties it in.
Yeah, because if you were to do it like how he was drawn in the comic books,
like just all
nothing says Egyptian. It's just like, oh, you have a moon. Crescent shape, and you throw them at people.
Yeah, it's like, if anything, you're like, yo, you going to a Puff Daddy all white party, bro?
For real. But the fact that they gave him the texture, they gave him all this texture. Yeah. And I know you saw that gold.
And I think that comes from the director, Mohammed Diab. He said in a few interviews, like his mission was to like lean in on the Egyptian influence, but also portray like Egypt in a way that because I guess he was talking about like how sometimes like Western movies portray Egyptians as like these wanderers, these mystics. They focus a lot on like the landmarks, the pyramids, and he's like, yo, I'm trying to make it grounded to show like Egyptians as people.
I'm trying to show this dude beat the shit out of people.
I think just like in a very tasteful manner. He's like very conscious on like how he portrays Egyptian culture.
Is he directing more than one episode?
I think he's directing, for sure. He's directing more than one episode. I don't know how many exactly, but no, the costume looks tight. And if you've seen a few of the other trailers, that moon in the middle of his chest, that's where he gets his moon daggers.
Moonerangs. Moonerangs. Moonerangs.
That's where he gets
They're called moonerang.
He gets his moonerangs, and it looks like it's an infinite amount. And I think that's cool as fuck. It's just like visually, it's like shoot, 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 shoot.
Just throwing people. And we still haven't seen Mr. Knight yet.
No. And that's the cool part is like you get the introduction, just talking about Moon Knight specifically, you get his Stephen Grant persona, you get his Mark Spector persona, which is kind of tied to that Moon Knight persona, but we have yet to see Mr. Knight, and I have a feeling he is going to be an instant favorite. Something tells me just from the images I've seen.
We're going to Heroes Con. I cannot wait to see so many. I'll call it right now. We're going to see so many Moon Knight costumes. I'm going to see
Mr. Knight.
A ton of Spider-Man costumes, but specifically, I think we're going to just see a bunch of Moon Knight. Which
sure.
I'm not hating on. It's just like, yo, how did you come up with this so quick?
It was really just buying a white suit.
Yeah, you're right.
Now granted, to really like
Stephen Granite. Now, Stephen Granite.
Ooh, I like that, Stephen Granite. It's all about the thread count. You got to get that thread count up if you want.
Egyptian cotton, bro. He's like, I want to hit him in, but I only want to hit him in with Egyptian cotton.
So let's go ahead and bring it on home and see if this first episode gets a short box stamp of approval. Tell me what you thought about Moon Knight episode 1, because this is your second viewing. So how do you feel about the episode?
Oh, I feel really positive about it. I'm very excited to see where it goes. Everything with the time jump, I hope as we go further into the episodes, the time jumps are less and less. Because I don't mind this first one kind of like basically messing with it, but if it's like, it'd be like that Homer Simpson episode where it's just like come inside. He's like, that guy's about to do something cool, and then like he goes inside and then does something like that's what it is. It's like basically kicks a dude. So I'm definitely excited. Also, I'm going into this with blind. I've only read probably a handful of Moon Knight comics, so I can't really say that I know exactly his whole lore. So they can play with it any which way they want, and I'm still going to be really excited for it.
Cool.
So, what about you?
When I had to read that series for the Comic Spotlight episode, and then watching this episode, this first episode, it has made me both arrive to the point or the question for myself of what's taking me this long to get into Moon Knight? Dude, honestly, Moon Knight stands out in a lot of ways. Like that Egyptian mythology aspect to it, like this character that's like got, you know, his own kind of like mental issues, having like multiple personalities and DID, like there's a lot to play with. And then also visually striking too, right? It's like, damn, they managed to make a character in all white, especially like the more modern comics, like the Jeff Lemire run, the Warren Ellis run, and the artists specifically, like Greg Smallwood and Declan Shelvey. Like they managed to make this very. It could have easily been, you know, like a better term, vanilla. Like,
yeah,
very much like this vanilla character, colored character, very plain, but there's something even visually striking. So it's like you've got great story elements to work from. You got like great opportunities to write a great characterization and character arc, and you got design wise, like this show to me captured all that. Like they hit all those points, and it's only episode 1. I think you have a lot more questions than answers, like all episode 1s probably should do. But I think you're going to see Oscar Isaac really take it home, like watching him act against himself and play these different personas. Like you're getting really like a lot of characters in one, right? Like you're not getting just one character arc. You're getting multiple characters that might share a character arc or maybe even have their own.
Do you hope we get an episode that is basically a callback to that Warren Ellis, where it's just a straight 45-minute of Mr. Knight, crime solving, doing things, like straight violence, and then like we get that type of episode? I
think we should continue to try to do these Moon Knight episodes as much as we can. I think sometimes we might even look to batch a few of them up, but I say we let.
I only have 5 left.
Yeah, true. We did do it for how many episodes was Falcon and Winter Soldier?
6.
Yeah, 6. You're right. My apologies. You're right. Well, Drew, I think we're at a good stopping point, so I will go ahead and address the Shortbox Nation, but I want to thank you for hopping on this one, man. It's always fun to do these rewatch episodes with you.
Yeah, man, I was really excited to pick a character that I know nothing about, so this is going to be really exciting. You've blown my mind with a lot of the stuff that we've talked about. There's actually some questions. I'll wait for the second. You guys gonna have to tune into the second episode so you can figure out what Drew questions he has for old B Milligan.
I would be curious if you remember those questions.
Oh, I'm going to remember the heck out of it by the time we stop.
Done deal. All right. Well, Shortbox Nation. There you have it.
Donut.
Yeah, wasn't that Danish? All right, Shortbox Nation. There you have it. Thank you for hanging out with us this week, but it's time to close out the show. We'll try to make this a recurring bonus series if enough people want us to do more of these, or we might even bundle a few of the episodes together depending on the week. Let us know what you think. Regardless, stay tuned to the podcast feed every Wednesday for new episodes. If that's too long for you to wait, and if you want to hear all our content the minute we finish recording, consider becoming a Patreon subscriber and avoid having to wait a whole week to hear from us. Sign up for our Patreon using the link in this episode's show notes and support the podcast. Help us keep it going, as well as enjoy special rewards and epic bragging rights. If you live in the Jacksonville area, it's definitely a good time to consider signing up for our Patreon, because we're planning another movie watch party in the local area, this time for the upcoming Doctor Strange movie in May. Go to patreon.com/theshortbox right now, or click the link in this episode's show notes to sign up. In the meantime, give us a follow on social media if you aren't part of the bandwagon already. But most importantly, take care of yourselves. Have a great day, and please continue to make mine and yours Shortbox. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.